Alright, this is Eigen object recognition, if I'm even saying Eigen right. Well, what the crap is that? Let me show you. Eigen object recognition is saving an image and then pulling it up later, comparing it to see if it's that image again, or close enough to it. Alright, so if you couldn't tell, here's me, and I'm going to take about maybe 6 or 7 images here. Now I have this data grid view over here to the side, and I have an add button and a recognize button. And now when I add a picture, I'm going to do one to this side, click, one here, click, one here, click, one here, click, and one here. So one of each side of my head. And you can see as I clicked it, it added up the images right here. And the data grid view stuck my face there, and there. So you can see them all really nicely. Now I also have a clear button. So now when I take an image, actually when I hit the recognize button, it's going to tell me of which image is the closest comparison to the current image of my webcam. So let me hit recognize here. Nope. Darn it, Eigen. Gonna mess up. Let's try over here. Nope. Mother. Ha! Okay, thank you, you jerk. Alright, when I clicked it finally, this has a hard time. What can I say? But, there's ways to make this better. For the instance, if the image wasn't this huge image, and the light was better, you notice the crazy kind of filter I got on right now. This is called, I think it's histogram equalize. I'll show you in a second, I forget. But anyways, the filter allows for better light, it dumbs the image down to a white or a gray and a black or a dark gray or a lighter gray, something that can't be, anywhere from 0 to 255, but like 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, it dumbs it down so it makes it a lot simpler for the recognizer to figure out what it is. So let me try this one more time, see if I can't match my face here as I had it before. Image 2, alright, there we are. Image 2 right there, see? That wasn't too hard. But anyways, another thing you can do with this is, for instance, face tracking. I've had a request for face tracking. I may do it later, but the horror cascade can find the face. You can see my hands in this nice little box here. You can find the face and then compare that face that it found to other faces, and then see if that works or not. Also, Emgu has a nice little thing about, what's it called? Oh yeah, license plate recognition, where it finds the square of the license plate, takes that square, and then tries to read OCR through it, which I just posted how to do OCR. Check that out too. Anyways, let's get to the code. First thing you're going to need to do is get Emgu.CV, and I'll link a video to how to do that and get some webcam goodness going. So now I got a picture box here, and it is a standard 640 by 40 picture box, and I have a data grid view. Now, data grid views, I might take longer to explain what's going on here, but in the columns, I have an image column and a label column. Now, the image column has a width of 125, and that's important. I'll get to that later. And the label column is just a text box column. So, oh yeah, there was one more thing. It was, I had to set, here it is, the image layout to stretch. Therefore, whatever image I took just stretched and compressed into that box. Okay, now with that, I also have 3 buttons down here, add, recognize, and clear, and a text box to return what the best image was. Now in the text, or in the code, I have the 4 imports here that I usually have always: CV, utility, CV utility, and CV structure. And then I define my captures, which is my webcam capture, and I define an image, which is my standard image. Now, oh yeah, I always forget this timer down here, but I also have a timer that's always set to true in 100 milliseconds. Now when the timer happens, it's going to retrieve the image from the camera and put it into that image. Then it's going to take that image and do an equalized histogram. That's what I was looking for. And then the next line is going to take that image, convert to bitmap, and stick that in the picture box. And that's what you see in the big picture box all the time. Now, on the Add button here, the Add button takes the current image and puts it into the data grid view. So the first thing I want to do is add a row to the data grid view. Then I want to add this to the bottom row. This is what this means. And to the first column, cell 0, the value equals images to the bitmap. So I'm just putting the bitmap into that last row. Also in the last row, that same column or same cell, I'm changing the width of it times 0.75. Now remember how it was like 125? This times it by 0.75 to give the 4:3 aspect ratio, so the image looks just like the webcam does on the side. And then finally I add on that last row as well. In the next column over, the label column, I add the string of image in string format and the current count of the data grid view row. So it just adds the row number to it. So that way I can distinctly tell which is which. Now the button click. This is the recognize button click right here. Let me do the clear real quick. The clear button is simply this little guy at the bottom here. Datagridview1.rows.clear. It just clears it. Now the recognize button, if you were to clear it before you actually set images in there, it'd probably give you fault. You may want to protect against that. But now most of this program is all about the data grid view, and this right here is just the Eigen object recognizer. So you can take this little chunk out and be done with it. So the first thing I want to do is the Eigen object recognizer needs an image list as an array of images, and that is the Emgu type image, and an array of strings. And so I define those two right here. And so image as an array of image of gray as byte, and an array of strings. So now for every count of row that I have from 0 to the count -1, because if there's 4 in there, the count will be 4. However, the first one will be labeled as 0, so it'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, and that'll be the 4. And then I have defining a temp image. I had a little bit of issue with this, I think, before, so I had to define a temp image. So a temp image as a bitmap, and that is the value of the picture box there. Now the picture box, the data grid view's pictures retain their size and their whole 640 by 480 value in them. So I'm reverting that data row back into a bitmap, and then I'm turning that bitmap into the image, the Emgu type image, and I'm putting it into the index that I'm currently at. And then I'm doing the same thing for the data grid view second column, which is my text, and putting that into the label list. And so finally, in my stuff here, if I have to define a criteria, I define an integer, and I finally do my object recognizer. The criteria, I can't really tell you too much what this stuff is. I kind of got it online and it works, so I wouldn't mess with it too much. If you figured it out, totally sweet. Now max distance is a number that is figured out how much difference we can be here. 1,000 to 5,000 is what I kind of found that works. Everything else not so much, but it's the maximum allowable distance, as it defines distance, away from an acceptable compared image. And then finally the Eigen object recognizer. As a new Eigen object recognizer, using the image list, labels list, the max distance, and the term criteria. Now with that, I do my text box 1 here equals Eigen object recognizer, the thing I defined, recognize images, my current image from the camera, dot label. And so the label that it returns is the label from its list that matches the same index of the image that it compared to. Elsewise, this will throw an error if it doesn't find something close enough, so I have a try and catch exception as this, so my text box will just mean nope. Well, there you are. That's not too bad, huh? So definitely have fun with that.